Let me show you something. Do you know anyone who's done something like that? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a fire knife dancer? Stick around to find out. What's up guys, I'm Luke Embers and I'm a fire knife dancer in Chicago. Throughout the year, I'm constantly doing fire shows and performances throughout the Chicagoland area, and I realized that I get asked the same questions by my audience. Today, I'm going to be answering the top 5 most commonly asked questions I get as a professional fire knife dancer. Let's jump right in. Number 5, how did I get started? My fire knife journey started all the way back in 2017 when one of my friends was living by a Polynesian dance academy and came up to me and he was like, yo, you want to be fire dancers? When someone asks you that, how can you possibly say no, right? What we did was we reached out to the academy, they invited us to see one of their shows, and then they offered us to take a trial class. Now, going into this, I was like, cool, it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be great. I show up to the trial and I do not learn the fire dance. The Polynesian Academy does all types of Polynesian dance, such as hula from Hawaii and ori Tahiti, which is the dance of Tahiti. And the fire knife dance that I do is called siva afi, which originates in Samoa. So before I can move on to this, I had to learn the basics of hula and ori Tahiti. So I really didn't actually get started until 2018, about a year later, when I then was able to finally pick up a practice fire knife and start learning the basics from my dance instructor. Now, since 2018, I was constantly on and off, practicing and whatnot. I was doing the basics and I would do shows here and there. But I honestly would say that I wasn't any good because I didn't practice. And it wasn't until 2023, last year of recording this video, where I decided, all right, I want to hone in on siva afi. I want to go hard on this. I want to see what I can do and what putting my all looks like. And that's when I decided to start a 1-year spinning challenge where I would spin every single day for 365 days. This past June, I reached that goal. And after that, I was like, I'm not stopping. I'm gonna take it up a notch and I'm going to go for 500 days. So at the time of recording this video, I believe I am at 475 days of straight spinning. And this includes me traveling to different places, using all types of different things other than a practice fire knife. And all it was just constant practice and consistency and repetition. So my journey and my origin for fire knife dancing isn't anything really glamorous or whatnot. I wasn't born into like a family who does it because that's usually how most people get started. I just found somewhere that was nearby. I wanted to get into it and I learned the basics. You should definitely check out my spin challenge though, which I post every single day on TikTok and sometimes on different platforms. But follow along to my journey so you can see my progression and see what I looked like from day 0. And it just goes to show that consistency in practice leads to improvement. You can check that out at my TikTok at Luke Embers. Question 4, is it hot? One word, very. If you've seen any of my performances or have seen any type of fire dancing performance specifically for siva afi, it's 2 giant fireballs in your face spinning at insane speed, right? So honestly, you get used to it the more you do it. It's very, very overwhelming at first. Especially in the summer days when it's like 80 degrees at night and you're spinning, it gets seriously hot and I get drenched all the time whenever I perform. So it's funny, whenever an audience member asks this, I'm like, nah man, it's freezing, it's cold. That's just something fun that I do in my show, but yes, it is very, very, very hot, but you get used to it. Question 3, what type of fuel do you use? Now, the fuel that we fire knife dancers typically use is white gas fuel. Now, white gas fuel is a more purified version of gasoline that you would typically find at a gas station, but there's less particulates, it's more clean, it burns cleaner, and there's less odor and scent. So the flame when burning is white versus like a heavy black. Also, it evaporates quickly. And what I mean by that is, say you were to spill white gas on the floor, it only takes about 30 seconds max for it to evaporate and for the surface to be dry. And this is really important when it comes to safety because obviously if you're at a gig, you don't want fuel soaking all over the place on the floor. People could step on it, it could ignite, and that would be very, very bad. But in the worst case scenario that fuel does spill, it should evaporate within only about 30 seconds or so. So that's really cool. Also, the flame is brighter, it's bigger. Unlike lamp oil or your tiki torch oil, where it's a little bit more slow burning and a little bit heavier, white gas is nice and light, clean, and safe. Question 2, do you burn yourself? Yes, I burn myself a lot. Really, I'll burn my hands the most, especially at the beginning when you're first learning the fire knife, because obviously you have the two fireballs right next to your hand. And the thing is, fire travels. So it's not just in a set location. Travel follows when it's in motion, right? Versus a practice knife where it's just your baton, right, and both ends. The fire is probably about this long in length, right, on top of the ends. So if the knife is right here, the flame is probably coming up to here or even higher, you know? You're definitely very prone to burning something, of course. In one of my previous videos, I talk about how us fire knife dancers constantly keep the knife in motion, because very similar to a candle, you don't want the fire to be stationary because it'll go up. But if you look closely at my hands, you can definitely see burns, right? Like this was a most recent burn that I had. I've had it on my fingers like that, on my knuckles right here. This is a very recent one too, all over the place. And it's funny because in addition to like burning skin, we also burn our hair a lot. So it's a little hard to tell on the camera, but I burn my arm hairs and leg hairs constantly. I even burn my my regular hair too, which is funny. Whenever I go get haircuts and I burn my hair, my barber's like, the heck, dude, what happened? You burn your hair or something? So yes, I burn myself constantly. I burn my hair. I've even burned my eyelashes. Those are a couple close calls, but burning your hands, burning your skin, burning your hair is all very common, and that is a part of the job when it comes to fire dancing and doing something that's extremely dangerous. I've never had anything more than a 2-degree burn. I've heard stories about people getting really bad burns because the prop that we use, it's called the nifo'oti, which is also known as the tooth of death. And there's a hook on the very end. And there have been times what I've heard is someone actually hooks themselves and it's burning like the inside of their skin, which is absolutely disgusting. It's never happened to me. To put it frankly, yes, I burned myself. Fire is dangerous. It's no joke. So there you go. Lastly, the number one most commonly asked question I get as a fire knife dancer: how do I learn how to be a fire dancer? Fire knife dancing is very much like any other sport or martial arts. It takes consistency, practice, and patience to get anywhere with it, right? Again, for me, I'm on my 500-day spinning challenge, where I'm constantly just practicing day by day. You know, no matter how much time I'm able to get, I try to do something, whether it's repeating a move or learning a new one, and that's what it really comes down to. If you're interested in learning the basics of the fire knife dance, check out my most recent video where I share with you the most fundamental move of Siva Afi, how to do it in a POV perspective so that it's nice and easy to follow and you don't get confused on what the hand motions are and things like that. You should also subscribe to my newsletter down below, Embers to Ashes, where I give bi-weekly tips and tricks on the art of fire knife dancing. I share my personal progression, and I also share knowledge, history, and other aspects of the fire knife dance. So definitely subscribe to my newsletter and check out my most recent video to learn the basics. And if you have any other personal questions on fire knife dancing, you can always reach out to me on all my social media handles. My goal is to help people learn the basics of fire knife dancing while I'm learning as a intermediate level myself, and to make Siva Afi much more accessible to people. And with that said, those are the 5 most commonly asked questions that I get as a professional fire knife dancer. I hope you learned something today. I mean, you don't really hear these things every single day, and I feel like it also just makes it much more interesting because there's more intricate things that you wouldn't really think about when it comes to doing something like this. And so again, I hope I can share that with you all. I'll be very transparent on this practice, on this sport, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the content. So that's all I got for you guys. Like always, be what remains, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.